I'm really not going to give this presentation today at all. Okay? You're going to do it. You all are going to do it. And the great advantage of that is that if the falls
came from north of England that voted to get out, but in London, 75% of them voted to stay. But 50% of the population of London are immigrants. 50%.
Wow. Actually,
that's incredible.
So your point is that where there are more immigrants, they wanted
to stay.
They wanted to stay.
Absolutely.
They were on a gravy train. They don't want to get out.
But those immigrants weren't voting. It wasn't the immigrants that were voting.
After 5 years they could, I think.
Beg your pardon?
After 5 years they can. There's a lot there.
Yes.
I believe, and anybody else may know it better, the plebiscite over Scotland staying with the UK was razor thin.
Was?
And I believe I've heard that Scotland was against Brexit.
That is correct.
So, question being, is if they hold another plebiscite, would that be enough to push Scotland out of the UK?
What do you think?
I didn't hear it.
If they held another plebiscite, because of the difference in feeling in Scotland about Brexit, they were mostly against Brexit in Scotland. If they held another plebiscite, would that push Scotland out of the UK?
No, because I don't think they vote against it. They want to stay with the UK because they rely a lot on the UK financially.
But the only way
Don't you
they
think Scotland would have left years ago if they could have done financially?
I don't think they will. I don't think they will.
You don't think they'll leave?
No.
They'll stay.
Scotland, no. I don't think so.
You know,
I think they fully expected everybody else to. That's why they did it.
what's really strange to me is that this sort of leaving creates so many unknowns and so much potential for mischief. I mean, is the banking going to leave? Is the banking, you know, and the whole issue of immigration, I can certainly understand why people get very upset about it, but is it going to, those people that are there are going to stay, are they not? They're not going to take all the immigrants and ship them away, are they?
No. Well, I mean, America.
But yes, it's the same thing as here. You know, those that are here.
Well, the problem is that they don't. The EU. We don't have much control of immigration. We can't say this is. And we're trying to have so much control now.
Well,
and this is what we're trying to negotiate.
Can they?
That's not the main issue. I think it's the other.
The issue of control, that it all comes down to, for immigration and everything else, you don't like those people far away being in control of what you do.
Right. Well, they're telling the governments what to do, and they're not being elected. They're just.
Well, you know, it's those guys over in Eastern Oregon who don't like foreign control too, you know.
Oh, sorry. Well, there was a lot of silly things too, you know.
Alan.
I'd like to put my word in for Brexit. Immigration was the reason. I come from Bradford in north of England. Our city has been destroyed basically by legal immigration from Asia. And that's very fundamental. It's locked in my mind.
But is it going back, Alan?
When you say it's
No,
destroyed.
but you don't need to add to it by continuing so-called immigration not controlled by your own country.
Alan, when you said it was destroyed, what do you mean by that?
Destroyed economically, socially, the city.
They contribute nothing? The Asian immigrants?
No, they came in with different sense of values, living standards, and so on. And the city is, as far as I'm concerned, is unlivable.
It's true.
It is. They put their
And-
their language on the stores. You go down, it's not English, it's their foreign language on all the stores. You go to
Have any
parts
of
of
you
London,
been-
and it's all in bloody Indian.
Have any of you been to Fremont, California? Is across the bay from Palo Alto.
Probably at some point.
Have you noticed the signs there and what language they're in?
Arabic.
Well, it's mostly Indian. It is I mean, there probably is some Arabic, but it is primarily Chinese and Indian. Yes.
There is a town in Texas called Fredericksburg, and all the signs for the streets are in German. Okay? And the streets are extremely wide, whoever laid it out, for one reason. So an oxen could turn around a cart without backing up.
Good
But
idea.
it is a typical German town, and all the ranches around it don't have one weed in any pasture. And
so-
by the way,
but-
while I got the stage, why would the banks go back to Europe? Because what Merkel has had more problems letting in 1 million of these same people that you're talking about. Why would the banks want to go to Germany or any other country when they're in worse shape than England is with integration, with
Immigration.
immigration? I think, my own personal opinion, I served in Europe quite a few times. I think Europe is conquered today, conquered by those million that came in, who will multiply and multiply and multiply, while the white man, the English, the German or the Luxembourgie, whatever, will only have 1 or 2 kids, and eventually down the line, which is going to happen in Israel also very shortly, they will be outnumbered, and the control of Europe will be Arab.
Well, you know, I have a very good French friend.
Tell us what to do.
I have a very good French friend, a family that we have been friends with for 50 years, and they are very, very French. And they have, I just can see it in them, their fear of France going away, that the French they knew is no more, is palatable, and they are very angry about that, very angry about it. But, you know, this family we've known, my kids are all 50 years old now, and we as are this family's kids, and we knew them when their kids were that high. And I remember talking with the father, and he would say to me, he wants his girls to marry somebody from the little village they lived in. They live in a village outside of Montpellier. And I used to say to him, Bob, you know, your girls have gone to school in England. They've traveled all over the world. They're not going to marry some guy from your village. It just isn't going to happen. And, you know, sure enough, one of the girls married a German doctor. The other one is married a businessman from Paris. And that family, I mean, and we know them, they are very, very disturbed by the French they knew is going away. And it's kind of the same thing I hear Alan talking about, the fact that, hey, the village he knew as a kid isn't there anymore.
Live and let live, but it's got limitations. You know, it's...
Well, another thing no one's mentioned is the channel. They get on in London, strip, they go up in Paris. I saw a joke in the paper where the Brits are bricking up the bloody tunnel this end so they can't come through anymore. So, you know, you think they're not going to cut off England to Europe. They got a bloody tunnel for a start.
I mean, for trade.
trade and everything.
I think in the long run, overall, it's going to be the best thing that happened.
Does anyone think it's going to be a financial disaster?
No.
No.
Why do you think it's going to be a financial disaster?
We're in an international world, and emotion will take over. People, there will not be free trade after. I don't think the EU or whatever it is called now will allow England to get out without suffering some penalty, and the penalty will be tariffs and restriction of trade. And I think, in effect, that will affect England more than it will affect Europe.
Well, you know, I'm sure I'd be pillared if I turned this into a local political discussion, but there are people here in this country who are talking about stopping our international trade agreements. Would that have that negative effect on our country if those people looking aghast that these international trade agreements do prevail?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
It may
one of
take
the-
longer
that was one of
because
the
we
major
have
causes-
we have a
one of
bigger
the major
country.
causes of the Great Depression.
You think it'll bring on the Great Depression,
Yeah.
would bring on the
Yeah.
Great
The
Depression?
Smoot-Hawley Act, I remember that because it's got the same name. The Smoot-Hawley Act restricted trade. It was, we don't want to lose all our jobs to overseas, and that was a major thing in the Great Depression in the U.S. And those idiots that are both the idiots that are running for president
You got that
talked
right.
about throwing out trade treaties.
I disagree with you. The Smoot-Hawley Act controlled the banks not being investment banks. Yes.
Well,
It separated the banks from investments. And
Hillary has talked about
much as I like Mr. Clinton, the worst thing he did was allow the Smoot-Hawley Act to be canceled.
Well, you know, Doug, you talk about the presidential candidates, but the fact of the matter is that they only really reflect what the sentiment is in the country. And the fact of the matter is that aside from the individual political candidates, there is in this country a great many people that feel that free trade is hurting us. You know, do you think that same thing prevails in the UK, that there are a significant percentage of the population that thinks UK could get along fine without free trade?
No, it's impossible.
I think it comes
Too
down
small,
to
too
profit
small
and
a
money.
country, yeah.
If they can make more profit on money, Americans can make more money trading with Great Britain because the pound's down.
But
They're going to be there trading with them. Hey, we can make more money buying this from England.
But the greatest input, the greatest export that England has, as I understand it, is from the financial banking sector.
Correct.
That'll move to Switzerland.
I mean, that is the most, you know, you talk about factories building steel, they are relatively hard to move. The financial sector can move pretty easily.
But I believe there's more imports from Europe into Britain than opposed to going out. And that's another major factor.
That is
So
true.
They won't just cut them off or try to be difficult.
You know,